Hello, I'm Ed Rabyd, otherwise known as the Rabyd Atheist, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like or dislike the video as you see fit, so feel free to hit those buttons. Feel free to comment below, and I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and hit your notification bell for more content as it is released. You're also free to share my videos as much as you like. The purpose of this channel is educational, and so particularly in regards to deconversion and atheist issues, and, various issues such as politics, Bible, theology, philosophy related to those issues. This channel is kind of a visual podcast. I don't really edit my videos, so, take it for what it's worth, but my whole point is to kind of get my opinion out there. Today is a Friday video, so I'm dealing with comments in the comments section, and I have a couple of them that are going to be interesting. I'm going to deal with a few other things involving some of the comments, and I, of course, have to, edit a few and remove a few from time to time. So if your comment doesn't appear here, it's probably because YouTube flagged you. I want to go into the first comment from Keen, my time as a deist, and why I'm not one anymore. It was the video. This video caught my interest because even as a deist believe in a watchmaker who leaves the store for a long vacation, it still leads to an idea of some having a beginning and some sort of destiny. The one thing that kept me religious and blinded me to all discussions by atheists was my belief in destiny and that things had a purpose. That for some reason all things had meaning and were destined to do certain things or meet those who I love, and on and on. Besides the arrogance of the whole self-fulfilling prophecy is the heart of belief in destiny. We turn left instead of right, so we avoid the bus and it kills the stranger and not us, and we believe it's destiny instead of us making a decision or a decision being made for us. Ironically, COVID-19 was the final straw for me. Not only giving me time away from my work to think, but it also made me realize how absurd it is to believe in destiny. Regardless of how some thinks of the current pandemic, in the past, things like polio didn't infect someone due to destiny. It became someone's destiny to live with the effects of polio, one can say. But how can someone say that contracting polio was due to fate or drama or any action besides random chance? Maybe going left instead of right didn't affect the exposure to polio, but how can certain random mental decision be anything more than a random mental decision? Yeah, there's a lot of arguments, but you're right. There's a lot of spiritualized beliefs that even if you don't believe in God or Christianity, you still hang on to. And I think deist belief is a justification for that. We want to still believe in destiny. We want to still believe in a purpose for life other than what we define it to be. We want to believe in a lot of things. And I think deism allows us to hang some of that stuff on there. But yeah, I don't really believe in fate or destiny. There's a debate even among scientific atheists whether things are fated or we actually have any free will, that from the moment of the Big Bang, everything is set in, and it just becomes, chemistry and physics, and that's just the way it's going to be. I'm not really sure I buy that, because there's also scientists that say that there might be certain molecules that are indeed completely random, that there might be some randomness in the universe, so maybe fate isn't part of it. So that's kind of where I stand on it, that, I think there is something that's going to randomize things, but that's kind of the way it is. Turk Powers. What I've heard, why I fell out of faith: you just want to sin, you have always trouble letting God direct your life, you're mad at God, I'm deceived, and it's a sign of the end times, Timothy 4:1. You weren't part of the right denomination, so you're easily fooled. I love the old assuming game. I guess it gets hard for people to understand the reason we fall out of faith isn't fear, anger, hatred, or etc. No, we simply fall out of faith because it no longer makes any damn sense. One of the hardest things I'd ever done was to admit that I believed in nonsense for 40 years of my old life. That was a tough day. Turk, absolutely. I mean, I've heard all that too. So you're not alone. But I think it goes to the core of why people have faith in the first place. It's an emotional thing. Okay, when you attack their faith, they think they're attacking their person. And so when somebody leaves the faith, it really is an attack on their justification for their own beliefs. And because they're so emotionally attached to those beliefs, there's a fight there. Okay, there's a battle. And so they look at you as symbolic of, oh, they've managed to get past that emotional attachment to their faith and realize intellectually it's a load of crap. And that's why I think people, come after atheists, because atheists are the ultimate, we don't believe in fairy tales. And that becomes a real problem for them. So, dude, I feel for you. Been there, done that now for 5 years now. About 2 years of, people coming on, even on this channel, I've had tons of people give me those same stupid arguments. Oh, you're just mad at God and you need to, and then I counter them with, how do you assume what's inside my head? Do you also have the power to read minds? Yeah, no. Okay. Free bird of reason. Supernatural faith is just a decision to believe in something unseen. Faith is what children do when waiting for Santa to arrive on Christmas morning. It can be so believable, but not true. The heart has 3 coronary vessel arteries, and I'm going to shorten this up, Freebird. I get what you're getting at because we're talking about the argument design, and you're absolutely correct. In our heart, there's a 3-way branch for coronary arteries. If that branch didn't exist, and you could make the heart in such a way that it didn't exist, a whole bunch of heart attacks would not happen. It is called the widowmaker, okay, for a reason, because if a blockage happens in that area, you can easily block 2 coronary arteries with a very small thing. That's not good design, okay? It's sucky design. Now, it makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint if it just evolved to fit a need and the dangers haven't really been kinked out of it yet. But, maybe as evolution continues forward, this is a problem with our, and people that have a bigger area there where clots can get through or whatever, and it's not as big a problem. Yeah, I think that's coming. Dyson Qualian, 5 days ago, by Jehovah's Witnesses reaction. I received my letter last summer. The guy included his email. Now I just flood his inbox with apostate videos. All right. Payback for all those Sunday mornings interrupting my sleep. I love that, dude. I don't know if they necessarily like it when somebody else does the same thing to them. So I find that very humorous. Peter Daly. Okay. I hope I'm terrible with naming. Jason, the last one is Jason. I don't even want to try your last name, buddy. So you will need God one day, Peter Daly says. 1, prove the existence of said God. 2, why do I need him? Okay, if you're going to say sin is a made-up concept. So, no. I'm going to skip the next comment. I'm going to save it for last. I'm going to come back to it because it's part of the title of this video. Kita Ego, I hope I'm not butchering that, from one of my Jehovah's Witnesses videos. Jehovah's Witnesses are a super doomsday cult run. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to not to worry about too much about the Jehovah's Witnesses. I have made the observation before, and I will continue to make this observation, that Jehovah's Witnesses go after weak-minded people. Most cults do, because they're looking for people that don't know anything about belief. They're looking for people that are going through something, whatever. Sorry about that. But I don't think that the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to come after me anymore. The moment some of them see this video, they're just going to say, nope, not going to happen, not going to do it. Jeff Peff. Oh, this is a comment I did respond to, but I want to make it very crystal clear about something. He made a comment about, you're not credible because you're saying that Revelation was written by somebody with LSD. It was a joke. I certainly don't believe that whoever wrote Revelation was on LSD, maybe magic mushrooms, or some sort. And there's lots of different magic mushrooms. So what I'm saying is that this became the basis for my video this week on credibility, which I'll link above my head. I'm not trying to, sometimes I'm just trying to be funny. And if that offends you or you think I'm being serious, you might want to ask if I'm serious, because I responded, it's a joke, am I serious? And that became the springboard for my entire video on what constitutes good credibility. Okay, so you can go check that out. Free bit of reason on what makes someone credible. Well said. Have a good day. Thanks for sharing. Thanks, man. Any Armageddon Beatty, the JOWs have reported a decline in 2020, minus 6% growth. Yeah, they'll probably use it as a springboard for future evangelistic. Well, we got to evangelize more. We got to get out there, so on and so forth. All right. 3 days ago, Rabyd Ramblings, What Makes Somebody Credible. This video reminded me of why I subscribed and turned into your channel. It takes a lot of courage and humility to public state they spent most of their adult life living a mistake. Leaving a profession is always scary, but in your circumstances, leaving something late in life which you can't use, from what I can tell effectively in your resume without raising a lot of eyebrows, is beyond hard. I have stuck too long in a lot of jobs because I tend to be loyal or felt at time it was the right thing to do based on faith or whatever, whether superstition or sign. I can't think of one time where I quit a job too early. The point of your channel has always appeared to be warning others not to do as you did before your deconversion, on how letting an imaginary belief guide you when you were younger, setting you on a path that you're now trying to dig your way out of. It was important that you did this channel because it makes others like myself know they are not alone in their our stupidity and mistakes. I already responded. Thank you. I really needed this. I do sometimes wonder if I'm getting through, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That's why I did this channel. That's why it's why I do what I do when it comes to atheist activism. I don't know. I mean, I'm not tearing up because of the comment, and maybe it is a little bit, but I just don't want people to waste their time and their money and their energy on something that's a fairy tale. And, it's fine if it's a hobby or something, but when you're doing it because you earnestly believe that you're going to receive something that just isn't possible, yeah, I just have a problem with that. The next 3 comments are from my latest video showing empathy for Rush Limbaugh. I didn't say to Rush Limbaugh, I said for the whole situation. Rush Limbaugh is an American political commentator who leans far right. I wouldn't say he's a right winger. I know the left media tries to do that, but I think he leans very far right. And he's had some questionable guests, but so have a lot of liberal talk show hosts. So having questionable guests or saying controversial things, if you're on any kind of media for a long period of time, you're going to say something controversial simply because time. So I don't look at him as necessarily evil as a lot of other people do, but I do have a lot of problems with him now that I'm no longer a Christian. Keen, who obviously probably lives in the United States. I was interested in how CNN had the story buried. I never noticed it until a coworker mentioned it. Fox News pretty much had every space of their site devoted to him. I was watching the travel YouTuber recently who was returning from the U.S. after a decade abroad, who posted her culture shock. One of the points she made was how other countries, because of multiple political affiliations and factions, create less polarization compared to us versus the mentality found in America. I want to stop and comment on that. That is absolutely true. The two-party system polarizes us. Other countries in the world have 6, 7, 8, 9 political parties. And that causes 2 or 3 or even 4 political parties to have to cooperate and work together in order to pass certain legislation. To me, it is the two-party system that is the problem with America's democracy, not anything else. And it's both political parties have been very good at playing the fear card. Well, you don't want the other side in control because look at what they're going to do. I would like to get rid of the whole concept of tribalism from democracy. And the best way to do that, actually, ironically, is to create more tribes, to create smaller groups of people that have to cooperate instead of one of them that can. It's always a dangerous thing, in my opinion. And I don't know how you would curb it, and still be democratic, but it's always a dangerous thing when one political party, takes over. I mean, other than the illegalization of political parties, saying everybody has to vote and has to run individually, I'm not really sure how you deal with it, but you're right. It's what kills us because you're either right or left, and there is no alternative. And people like me, I'm not a moderate, okay? My viewpoints on a lot of things are either right or left. I'm a libertarian, so my main thing is freedom and liberty, which is why I'm going to react to another comment a little bit angrily. So, it's just kind of that way, but you're right. That person was right because we become so polarized we can't even have a goddamn discussion anymore. As for death and the dance of death on someone's grave, I was disappointed by the reaction by some due to the various reasons, some of which you covered in your video you made. If you do this in the past year, have led me down this path of deconversion. The last decade for me was filled with people passing away. And the most recent two made myself say, what was the point of that? Not meaning their deaths, but their lives. All of them had lives that seemed unfulfilled, even though one was in her 90s. I remember the funeral pamphlet said, a life well lived, or something like that. And I wondered if that was true considering the manner of her death and the fight among the relatives over the meager belongings that she left. As you mentioned, Limbaugh did whatever he wanted. He was rich, famous, and loved by many. In the end, I guess it doesn't matter what either one of us think about him because he's dead. Exactly. So celebrating on somebody's grave is kind of, distasteful to me. In the end, I guess it doesn't matter what either one. Yeah, okay. What matters is what you said is how we react to it, how we choose to live our lives. Do we choose to squabble over somebody's old clothes and jewelry before the funeral is even over? Or do we make sure we do what in this one life what is meaningful to us? And I think that's the key to me. One of the things as an atheist is I now realize this is the one life I get. And because of that, sorry about that, I'm just inflicted with something. You begin to realize that, everything's important, that life has, a even greater meaning because this is the one you get. And so I'm trying to live a life that I feel is good and wholesome. And I think religion robs you of that, actually. Free bird of reason. Is there really any justice after death? You can do almost despicable things, imagine all your life, and then have a deathbed conversion. Yeah, this is one of the things, and Freebird's going to kind of fill out the details of this. This is one of the things where I'm going to rush the comment a little bit because I already know where you're going. The most greatest act you can give to somebody is kindness and compassion, regardless of who they were. There's also great honesty in your videos. Yeah, that's because I don't edit them. You even get me blowing my nose on occasion if I was sick. I haven't really been sick when I've done these videos, so this is kind of the first time where I think I've got a little bit of a cold, but I want you, to understand that you're getting me raw. And the reason for that is I think a lot of people can be accused of not being honest. I don't want to be anything more than what I am, okay? I mean, for the most part, what you see is what you get. I think privacy is important for certain issues, involving family, friends, marriage, things like that. I'm not going to talk about those things very often other than as good examples, pretty much. Vinarak. Even after reading Rush's Wikipedia page, I have no idea who influenced him, which is saying something for a person who had so much influence over a vast swath of the American electorate. Admittedly, I haven't read his books, but even a cursory Google search yields no such information. Was he an Ayn Randian? Did he believe? No, he wasn't. Did he believe in Austrian or Chicago schools of economics? I'm not really sure that he even knew what those were. But I know that Rush was a big believer in what Reagan did, which was to lower taxes so people could have more money in their pockets. I would agree with that. The only problem that happened during Reagan was the fact that Congress continued to spend money like a drunken sailor, and he never really stopped that. Because that's how he got his massive military funding build up. He would, if there's a great hypocrisy to Ronald Reagan, it's, he really should have vetoed a lot of the bills that came out of Congress, because that's where the budget spending went really amok, and it's been amok ever since. How did he feel about Milton Friedman or Henry Nazareth? Don't know. I don't think he really talked about that on his shows so much. Was Barry Goldwater a political influence? I don't know. On that one, I don't. One of the four brothers was Christian nationalists. He very much was a supporter of Christian nationalism. You could hear that, he very much believed in God. He wasn't overly religious, but like many people, he felt that religion was the necessary moral glue that kept America together. I would disagree with that. Perhaps we would cease being fair-minded and call him exactly what he was, a minister of propaganda. I'm not so sure about that. If that's the case, then all editors, political commentators are ministers of propaganda. I think he was very good at doing what he said he went out to do, which is building the largest audience he could and holding it for as long as possible. He did do that. He was very successful at that. There's always going to be a group of people that's going to glam onto that. Campbell Vaughn liked characters like Howard W. Campbell in the novel Mother Night, minus, of course, obeying the actual Nazi party during World War II. Campbell told masses what they wanted to hear without compunction and whereas of conscience. The painful lesson Campbell learned as penned by White was this: you are what you pretend to be, so be very careful about who you pretend to be. Very good line. There was no pretense in Rush, only bluster and bile. Yet his vitriol seeped into the minds and hearts of millions of otherwise decent Americans, preparing him for even dangerous ideology and priming them for fascists yet to come. I want to stop there because I'm going to say a couple of things. Because some words are overused, I don't think people know what they are, and fascist is one of them. Fascist, from a political science term, has a very technical definition, which is a government which basically the government is in charge of everything economical, which is the irony of Hitler, I think, is that he hated the communists, yet a lot of his economic plans weren't necessarily communist, but they were dedicated to the state. So, you kind of had that. Rush never had to learn Campbell's life lesson. He eluded reformation, rehabilitation, and transformation. He died as he lived, unmoved, unsympathetic, and unaffected. That is the only one true tragedy of his life. I'm not celebrating his design, rather simply trying to understand its purpose. I think that's the real big thing. What was the purpose of Rush Limbaugh's life? And if you want to say that he had his own purpose and fulfilled it, then yeah, he was probably very successful. If you want to say, what did he good for society? I think a lot of people on the right would argue that he was their voice, that, they shared opinions with him. Whether or not he was the one who gave them those opinions or whether, I don't know. I find that most people are fans of people like this because they already have those viewpoints. They're just looking for somebody that's popular, that has a voice to say what they want to say. I think that's far more likely. So there's that. All right, I want to go back to a comment, and you're probably wondering, the title of this video, and I haven't gotten to it. I want to go back to it because it was a short discussion I had with a commenter named John Adabab, whatever. But John made a comment, and I responded to it. He commented about two things. One was about design. He was talking about the absence of evidence argument. I'm going to deal with that briefly first. You can use the absence of evidence argument for anything that's fantasy related. I can talk about unicorns. I can talk about leprechauns. I can talk about the Norse gods, the Greek gods, and use the same argument. Well, there's no evidence that they don't exist, so maybe they exist. it's a ridiculous argument because it's unfalsifiable. And I'm going to leave it to you, whoever you are listening to this, to go find out why an unfalsifiable argument is not a good argument. A good argument is one where you put forth a hypothesis and you also tell how that hypothesis will be falsified with the belief that it will not be falsified, or that it'll simply have to be adjusted, one or the other. The real comment I want to deal with from this guy is biblical slavery. We get to the end of the comment and he said, by the way, you said the Bible endorsed slavery, but a Christian would argue that slavery already existed and the Bible regulated it. I think that's a fair argument. What do you think? No, it's not a fair argument. First of all, if slavery, which I consider to be a great moral evil, and I'm trying to be as calm as possible because I already did this video once to react to this comment, and I really got pissed off. You want to justify slavery. You want to justify the owning of one human being over another. I want you to justify that as a moral concept without using your book called the Holy Bible. Okay, I want you to justify why it is right, rationally, for one human being to own another human being. That somehow certain human beings are allowed to be property, period, full stop. Okay, I want you to justify that without using your book. And try to explain that to somebody. It's not justifiable. One, you would have to conclude then that if God bows to the culture of the area around him, he's not very authoritative. He obviously, the Bible has God, getting pissed off because people work on the Sabbath day. Why couldn't he get just as morally pissed off about one human being owning another human being? He's either weak or the Bible's written by human beings that wanted to justify that they had slavery. So they made God be a supporter of slavery in their book. Okay. If God does exist, which I don't think so, but if the God of the Bible actually did exist, that makes him a moral evil son of a bitch, that he thinks that one person should own another person. And I responded to this comment, and this is the response I got. And this is where I almost lost it. And this is why I didn't respond to him in the comments. If God abolished slavery back then, what would the person do who fell on hard times? Really? You want to justify slavery so somebody could pay off a debt. Do you understand what slavery is, right? That a person had to basically own another person, right? He would have had to beg, and he would have the option of selling himself into slavery to survive, with the option of becoming free at the Jubilee. Okay, a couple of things. Jubilee only works every 7 years for Jewish males. If you're a Jewish female and your father sold you into slavery, i.e. sexual slavery, you were not allowed to be free at the Jubilee. Only Jewish males were free at the Jubilee. And outsiders who were taken as slaves were never allowed to be free. You want a kinder, gentler version of this? I'll link a video. I think Vice Rhino just did one on biblical slavery, responding to somebody else, and you can go at it there. The fact that people liked this comment, to those of you who liked this comment, and to John who made the comment, really, dude, you're justifying slavery because somebody can, and that's the best God could come up with. The only way God could figure out to get out of debt was you could sell yourself into slavery and work it off, where you could be treated like any other slave, by the way. And the test of whether a master was so abusive to his slaves, if you beat your slaves and he doesn't get up in 10 days, then you beat him too hard. What kind of fucking rule is that? The fact that all of you people that want to justify biblical slavery this way, this is what I'm talking about when I say that the Bible allows you, because of your damn book and your faith in it, to do evil shit and believe evil shit in the name of upholding your holy book. If God is truly the authority, he shouldn't be regulating practice that already exists. He should be saying, I'm a loving, moral God. Slavery is wrong. Don't own somebody else. As far as how they could get out of those debts, are you saying that this is the only option? Because I live in a country where there's debts and there's tons of other options of how to get out of it, but none of them involve slavery. It seems like America, it took us a while, and other Western countries have figured out ways for people to work off their debt without being engaged in slavery. Why couldn't God do that? Is he too stupid? Because apparently we beat him out. But John, I want to know how you look yourself in the mirror in the morning, where you're justifying biblical slavery over this kind of bullshit. Are you serious? Are you serious? I want you to really think about that for a minute, because I don't think you are. I think you're being flippant about it, and it's not funny. One human being owning another human being is not a funny situation, and there are tons of other things that I can think of that are better to get out of this. Biblical slavery was absolutely the justification for the South, who used these laws on slavery to justify the fact that they could take African Americans who were foreigners, bring them in and keep them slaves forever, because that's what the law of God says. They considered themselves the chosen people, the Christians of God. And so therefore anybody they took as slaves was not, and therefore their slavery was justified. I'm not trying to be rude, but slavery's justification in the South was very biblical. There is no, as an atheist, to me, as a libertarian atheist, there is no, repeat, zero, full stop, reasons that slavery should be justified. I don't care what it is. And the fact that you use your Bible to justify why slavery was there and somehow God isn't culpable, apparently he's either too stupid because he can't come up with a better idea, he doesn't have enough authority because he can't tell his people, even though he can tell them don't do shit on the Sabbath day or I'll kill you. Jesus, dude. Or he's immoral and believes in an action that I consider immoral, which proves that my morality as an atheist is superior to God's. And God is just an asshole. Slavery, justified, really. Dude. And, your last comment about the unicorn. Dude, you need to deal with my argument, not just bullshit, okay? You're the one that's advocating the idea that you haven't seen my house and that you can see it, and that unicorns could be real based on your argument for God. The absence of evidence for unicorns doesn't prove that unicorns don't exist. That's what you're saying. And the fact that you're justifying slavery, dude, I think you need to look in the mirror. I think you need to do some honest soul searching. I know I did, because as a pastor, I tried to justify all this bullshit. And then I suddenly realized, you know what? The Bible is really making me an immoral fuck. And I got rid of it. I'm sorry for all the cussing, and I'm sorry, but I'm angry. The fact that people will try to justify this passage. And, Vice Rhino today dealt with the guy who is black. He's an African fucking American. Okay. And he is a Christian African American trying to justify biblical slavery. And he completely edits and removes all the nasty verses to do it. And my God, the fact that religion will twist your mind that much is evidenced by the fact that you people continue to defend slavery. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, but that just pisses me off. God damn people. Thanks for stopping by. I know that last part was a little bit angry and over the top, but the only one that makes me more pissed off is the fact that the Bible, under a couple of conditions, justifies rape and murder and a couple other things. And I just, and the fact that people will defend the Bible even though it's pretty clearly obvious that it's a moral book and the law of Moses is immoral at points, just drives me nuts. No. But thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening to me rant there. I don't mean to be a jerk about this, but, no. No. But thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who has subscribed to the channel and stuck around. It's one of those days in the life of an atheist where somebody wants to claim that I'm immoral and I just want to sin, but then they want to turn around and justify something as evil as slavery. Go ahead. I'll fight that fight all day. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate all the likes, subscribe, shares, everything you do to grow the channel. You guys are great. You're awesome. Appreciate all the comments, including the ones that I disagree with, including angrily, because it gives me springboards to talk about things. In fact, I'm going to probably redo now my biblical slavery video and redo it again, probably Monday. It'll be part of the Rabyd ramblings or a deconversion issue. In fact, I think it is a great deconversion issue, so we'll talk about that. But once again, thanks for stopping by, and hopefully someday I can convince you to be a rabid atheist like myself. In the meantime, this is Ed Rabyd, also known as the Rabyd Atheist, signing off and wishing you a good day.